call this meeting to order, July 11th, 2020, regular business meeting. Have roll call, please.
Nathan Hallett, present.
Rick Snyder, present.
Pam Cheney, present.
Gene Gabbard, present.
Bruce Moll, present. And we'll move on to guests.
I have Chris and Jim here to give us an update
Okay.
right off the bat. Boy, are you lucky.
We didn't sign the sign.
Hmm?
We didn't sign the sign.
Jimmy,
Yes, ma'am.
make sure before you leave you sign my
Sign the sheet up there by Bob.
Just do it right now.
Okay, yes, please.
I'm going to let you start off.
Oh, wonderful. All right, well, I want to just give you an update on how the club is going. First of all, this is Chris Moorfield over here. He's our vice president. He's kind of all, keep us up and going and stuff like that, so he's been my number one, as I call him. Second thing was, as some of you saw, we have community days coming up the end of this month on the 29th. Some of us that have been Dublinites in the past remember the community picnic that Dublin used to host. This is what its replacement is. We hope this is going to become a new annual event for the town, and it's just going to grow in popularity and numbers and such, and get to that point to where that picnic used to be. So that's what the big goal of that is. We did get your donation. I appreciate that very much. It's going to be good. Sean Lamb, most of you know him, and Janet, they're going to be down there 11 to 1 on Saturday, so they'll be down there singing. A lot of plethora of different things we're going to be doing. Some of the old games like the water balloon tosses and stuff like that, we're going to be doing that. Make it a big fun event, you know, close to the end of summer. Kids are going back to school the next week or two, so that way we'll be good there. Couple big projects. We got the carpet still to replace. All the estimates are coming in around $5,300 to replace the carpet down there. The skate floor itself does need ground down and re-leveled and re-epoxied and resurfaced and all that. And again. So that's about the same cost. The epoxy and the ceiling material itself was $3,800. So that's not counting getting the grinder and smoothing that down and then resealing it again. I think that's pretty much it. The Board of Health gave us a good okay, so we're up and running with them. So the kitchen's passed their inspection. And we've done a lot of cleaning, so if you haven't been down there, you want to come down, you know, Julie has a key. You guys, you know, this is your building, so you don't think you need special permission to get in there and go look around by any means. You can go on down, or if you want to come down on a weekend night, we're closed right now for open skating. There's just not the attendance during the summer, which we didn't know we do, so we'll open back up middle of September. Middle of September, we're going to open back up for open skating. We're still doing private rentals. It's $150 for 3 hours. All your skates are included. You don't have to skate. You can use it for whatever else you want to do. We've got reunions coming in, graduation parties. You know, it's this town's community center, so we're trying to promote it as. So we've gotten a lot of good response from the community and elsewhere. There was another article in the Western Wayne News here this past Wednesday that was in there. So she's really liking what she's seeing. So she said she'll keep throwing stuff in there, and just getting the word out. So I said all that's free, so I'll suck that up as much as I can. So other than that, you know, if you guys have any questions, you know, it's what we're here for. Just keep going on what's.
I've seen somewhere that, was somebody writing grants for you or looking for grants?
We're starting to look into those. We are 501c3. We did get that, you know, stamp approval from the IRS. So that was what we really, that was one of my number one goals, was to get that. So we did get that, so we can start getting grants in. We're still looking around. We got putting one in for Reed. And then we put one in for First Bank, and then there's a couple of others, and then we're starting here local, and then we'll start getting out to some of the other bigger names and stuff. When the foundation opens theirs back up, we'll be able to apply with them, so.
Your open skating, was your attendance pretty good during that time? Or?
So, February was our first one. I can't remember the last time I was here. So the first night, we had about 130, 140 people crammed in there. It's too much. We can't handle that volume of people in there. You know, there's just, you're shoulder to shoulder and running over people. So it's kind of seesawed between like 30 and some good nights had 80. So it's still, you know, popular. Parents love it, you know, they get to have date night for 3 hours, so it's really not been bad. I mean, it's not like the days of, you know, some of us remember when it's 110, 100 or so every night, but it's really not, that size of crowd is not manageable down there. It's just not big enough, so we aim for the 50 to 60, and we go with that. We've had a lot of good responses for the Friday night skate, which is more geared toward the little tykes. We've had people coming from Anderson just to take their kids to an open skate on Friday night for 3 hours. So there's a lot of it. We do it. I mean, there are other skating rinks in there, but if you do some price checking with them, it's astronomical. I know Richmond, Newcastle, it's $300-400 for 2 hours. So we've got them all beat there. Even with the modest price increase that we had, it's still way below anything anywhere around. And people are finally, you know, the Facebook advertising has been our biggest thing, and the word has gotten out. We've gathered, I don't know, another 3,000 people on Facebook so far, all around, and it's really, I'm hoping to get it towards a big draw so that we start seeing a lot more outsiders come to this nice small town.
I think you're doing a good job so far.
I appreciate it. It's been a lot of work. You know, I've got, you know, teams here. My skate master right here is fixing all my skates. You know, everybody's got their little thing, and that's always been one of my things is you take everybody that's got a different small talent and put them all together, there ain't nothing you can't accomplish. So everybody that can do all of these little things is just making this club run. So anything else?
Well, these guys are here, I like talking about these door situation. We've been talking about this since December of last year, and they're still not up yet for starters. And then the ones that supposedly came, I'm not impressed at all with. I don't think it was an apples to apples quote if he's putting up wood doors, and that's not what the other guys quoted, so it's not fair to the original quotes we had.
Excuse me, I think that's not exactly accurate information, because I think they attempted to order the right doors, but there was a misunderstanding or a miscommunication or something. Lenny approved those doors. He went with him to do that. So we're not going to push the blame off on our contractor.
I don't think Lenny went with me.
They did.
He did.
The first quote was a correct quote. And it was a quote, and we waited thinking it was a special order. They hadn't been ordered yet. He had to have the money to do that. When we went back, we went with him, Lenny went with him to order them. We could no longer get the doors that he originally quoted. So he had a quote, that's what we discussed at the last one. It was a 20-minute instead of a 90-minute. I don't think any of us here realized that it was a wood frame door instead of a steel frame door. We had talked and thought it was a difference in the gauge of metal.
Right.
And that's where we were at.
So the blame really sits here on the board.
Well, no, but it doesn't say anything on the paper about wood at all.
It does.
To me,
On the quote it does.
I'm looking at it right here.
So it's 2 by 6.
To a certain extent because you guys approved it, but it also goes back to the contractor and the superintendent because they were the ones that looked at it. They were the professionals, and they should have asked those questions and looked at those questions, but we are all in it because we all looked at the paperwork and we all approved it.
So there's nothing we can do about the past. The past is done. All we can do is learn from it and move forward.
We
So
have 2 options.
We
We
do.
put them in, or we set them aside in case we need something else and order the right doors.
They're not returnable?
No,
No,
not
because
supposed
they were a
to.
special order.
Rob,
What?
we're discussing this, you're not a part of the board.
It's an open session.
You're not a part of this discussion.
Whatever. I am part of it because I've been involved with it.
Do you want to leave?
I sure can.
Go,
If that's what you want.
because I'm not going to argue with you.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you what I know.
If you bring to the board, I'm ashamed of you for doing that.
I'm sorry if you feel that way, but we need to keep this under control. We're trying to discuss this amongst us right now.
He's always offered his feedback, and just because you don't agree with his feedback doesn't mean that you have to kick him out of the meeting.
I'm in control of the meeting.
You
I
are,
understand
you are
that.
that, sir.
Okay.
But you know what? You just burn a bridge there. The bridge has been burned. He's nothing but a good guy to you and everybody else, so I think that was a bad move.
Okay, that's your opinion. Any other discussion on this door?
We haven't decided anything yet.
Well, that's what we were doing. We were discussing.
I do know one issue is the electronics on the door require the wiring to go down inside of the hollow door frame. I don't know that the wood will allow that to happen.
I think there is electronics that run down through many wooden door frames. I don't think that that is exclusive to metal doors.
I'm not a door person, I don't know for sure, but
Well, I'm not either, but it's just
I am.
common sense that doorbells and electronic entries do not require a steel frame. Do you have a doorbell in your house? Does it have a wooden frame?
no, this goes down inside the door, I do know that.
Well, the door is metal, from my understanding. The door is metal, it's just the wood, it's a wood frame. It has an aluminum, what do you call that thing?
Seal.
No, the thing you
Threshold?
step on, threshold.
The framework of it. So the doors, are they metal or wood? I
The
mean,
doors are steel,
they're steel doors, okay, with a wooden
wood frame.
framework.
It's pre-hung, so I'm assuming, have you seen them?
They're down. They are at the state. He brought them in 2 days ago.
So is
Yesterday, Sunday.
Is the
The whole
frame of the
encasement
door,
there is
is
wood.
the encasement wood, or is the frame of the door wood? Where you have two steel and the little edges are
All
wood?
I know is what I was told, because I said, I haven't been down there, there's a 2x6 frame around
Okay,
the door.
That's the frame.
So, and that's what I was told would be screwed to the concrete. And the way it would work is they would put extra anchors into it to make the wood to the concrete. Listen, I'm not into construction, I'm just going by what I was told. They have extra anchors that they would use to put that into the opening.
Can these doors be adapted to steel frames there? Or are they size off or?
Don't know.
Well, I think the frame was kind of the problem, was rusted out, and hinges were broke off of them.
The
and-
frames are really bad too. I haven't seen the doors, so I can't.
Yeah, I know the side door, you actually gotta lift the door up to push it shut. It's about 12, it's
It
in.
doesn't sound like something real solid.
Can't they just build a new steel frame? Those doors, you can take those doors out and put them in any frame, so if that's what you need, then we could always,
Is this thing considered a commercial building or is it just a private building where steel doors are required or?
I don't think there's a requirement.
Jeff, our fire inspector approved those doors as a rating for the community club.
The ones you got now?
The ones that, yes, he saw the description and he said those would be okay as a fire rating and for the building inspector fire rating for the community club. Now, as far as what we needed or what we thought we needed and what we wanted, that's different. But he said they would work on a building inspector, fire inspector rating.
If we've got them, we can't take them back, we might as well put them in and see how long we can make them hold us.
What, how often are the doors used? I mean, they're just during,
Almost daily, depends on how many parties they got.
so the doors.
40, 50 people come in and out 3 or 4 times.
Oh, we're talking about the main door coming in, oh, okay.
Both
I
of the
thought-
doors.
I
the
thought
side door and the
side
main door.
doors, okay,
Yeah, both of them.
okay.
I mean, we could start out with this and later on, if the doors are still in good
I
shape, we
think
could
that we'll
always put
probably get
no frames to
8
put
to
around
10
it.
years use out of them anyway. And for the cost that the other doors was gonna cost, you could put them in almost 3 times for that. So I don't have any objections with using I would like to see them use the doors that we just purchased.
Does the contractor have any problems putting these doors in, or have you talked to him, or?
I haven't talked to him.
Okay, if he has no problem putting it in, I mean, we got him.
He's the one that explained to you what he could do to make those work?
No, he explained that to Rob,
Okay,
that we kicked out of the meeting.
okay. Bless you.
And that's all he was trying to do, was to explain what he said. Sorry, it wasn't interesting enough, or that you felt like he was out of line.
Do we need a motion to go ahead with this?
I would like one, yes,
Or-
because
Anybody have a motion in reference to the door?
You make a motion, put these doors in, because you've already got
I second.
them, and get it over with,
Okay,
and see how long they hold up.
all right. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, minutes and adjustments.
I make a motion to accept the minutes and judgments that's shown to us.
Second?
I have a motion and a second on the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move on to reports. Police report, go ahead, Mr. Richard.
We had a total of 34 calls last month. One abandoned vehicle, 1 business alarm, 1 animal problem, 3 business checks, 3 civil disputes, 5 community policing, 1 fight, 1 mischief, 1 just general investigation, 1 juvenile problem, 1 property damage, vehicle accident, 1 noise disturbance, 2 personal assist, 1 speaking officer, 1 suicide threats, 4 suspicious vehicles, 1 unconscious, unresponsive, 2 vehicle lockouts, 1 VIN check, 1 wanted person, and 1 welfare check. You guys have any questions on any of that?
Any questions for police report?
Are these coming from a lot of the same area here in Dublin, do you know? The fighting, civil dispute,
Not necessarily. I know, try to be delicate here. One of the residents that we were frequenting a lot, that person's incarcerated currently, so that's cut our call volume down on that. So there was one particular residence we were responding to quite a bit. For the last couple of months, it hasn't been that way. So it's random.
thank you.
I would like to mention that we are back to full staff currently. We hired a temporary guy last month. He started about the middle of the month, so for the first time in about 3 or 4 years, we're actually back full staff, so that'll help us out too. I wanted you guys to be aware of that also.
I know.
Hopefully we can stay that way.
I know that there was some concern on the board with that aspect.
Absolutely. We've struggled,
Recovered
just like
that.
other agencies, you know, the last couple of years, and, we've been hit pretty hard, and right now we're back full staff, so we'll hope it stays that way.
Can you explain, we had the complaint about the corner of 40 and Johnson Street, and we had a request for lowering the speed limit right as you turn the corner.
I don't think that's feasible, number one. I don't think that's legal. Bob will maybe be able to answer that better about, I don't think you can have a speed limit lower than 20. This gentleman wanted to lower it down to 10. That's not gonna work, turning from off of 40, off of the stoplight.
You could in non-state roads, if it was just purely a town road, you could if you chose to. That's not what I would recommend, but it would be up to this council.
This gentleman claims he's clocking cars at 45 from the stoplight half a block north. I don't think
That's
that's
even possible.
I don't think that's possible, and the other thing is, how's he clock? You know, I think we had a little discussion before the meeting. I'm not here naive enough to say there aren't speeders that go up Dublin, or Johnson Street, Dublin Pike. That does happen time to time. I have directed my guys since the complaint to pay a little more attention to that area. The same gentleman, I guess, had the noise complaint too.
Yes.
That one presents a little more of a problem because a lot of the noise complaints that you get are just people driving through. They're not stopping and, you know, pulling off the side of the road and staying there for an hour, so it's not a continuous noise. I get it, you know, if they pull in the gas station and they leave the radio up, it is an annoyance, but it's temporary. Some of those we can address if we get called at the time. Obviously, if we come after they're gone, there's not much we can do with it, but so I've also directed the guys to kind of keep a better ear out for that. We'll see if that improves or not, but you know, the motorcycles that drive through town periodically, some of those are really loud, but it's temporary. They just pass through and that's it. They're not driving around town all day. So it's a little harder to enforce an ordinance like that, I believe, if it's just temporary.
Well, help educate me. Can you even have a different mile per hour for one street in town when they all have to be the same, all the streets?
Oh, no, you wouldn't have to. I mean, you could have all sorts of different circumstances, a church on one street, a school on one street. You could have, you know, other mitigating factors of why you would want a different, there's nothing that says all of your streets must be the same speed limit.
Of course, if it's 30 mile an hour there and he's clocking them at 45 and we're not able to catch it and enforce it, how is 10 going to? Because it's still the same thing. We have a sign that's going to say this, but it falls back on whether, you know, we can enforce it and they're not there long enough to call somebody and.
I can tell you in that particular area, there's not really a good place to set and enforce it because it's all private driveways and, you know, I can speak from my own. I sit up here at this building, at the north building a lot, and yes, periodically there is somebody that speeds through there. I'm not going to say there isn't, but, you know, do we catch every one of them? No. Is it a rampant problem? I don't believe that it is.
I think the concern stemmed from his grandkids almost got hit. And they're right there in that first half block. So that's where that main concern stems from.
I guess the question is it one person doing it all the time, or is he thinking everybody's doing it? If it's one person, maybe he can get the plates and have a personal conversation.
The way I took it was he's saying everybody's doing it.
Yeah, he's not naming people or he didn't give a description of a specific vehicle. He just said, this is happening.
Maybe we could put some signs up that says children at play.
Well, you can put signs up there, but we wouldn't hurt probably town to maybe.
We're gonna address it. Let it give us a chance to look at it, and we'll see if we can, you know, see some better.
Putting up these things that pick up your speed,
Yeah.
flash up. I don't know what kind of cost that is. I don't know. Does that end up being a deterrent at all? I mean, I know personally, I maybe slow down when I see it.
But again, you're talking about half a block where you're saying the problem's at, so you turn off at 40, who's really gonna pay attention in that half a block? If it's even a half a block, it's probably not even half, it's one house. I mean, you know, so.
I have no such mark on the road. Usually, for accelerating that fast, they leave a mark on the road. And the new pavement.
Most times we stand up here, we would be seeing that.
The new pavement mark's pretty easy. Yeah, so I didn't, when I turned the car, I didn't notice any mark on the road at all where.
Again, I'm not saying time to time it doesn't happen, it doesn't
Right.
may, but, you know, the way he projected it or presented it, I just have a hard time with that.
And his grandchild, I'm sure wants to many.
He's just like any other child, you know, the kids play near the road or get in the road, you know, accidentally, and I mean, it happens, and unfortunately, you know, that's maybe a parenting issue, I don't know.
And play on that sidewalk.
Sure. We want kids to play outside.
Right.
You know.
And there's.
But they do have a fence around their property too, if I recall.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know, you know, what's up with that, but anyway, we're aware of it. We will try to address it, and we'll see how it goes.
Are you gonna say now, Mr. Priscilla, when they talk about this renewal for the 3 years?
Yeah, if you want to do that.
Or take it out, roll the agenda, whatever you want.
However you want to do it, if you want to do it now while he's here, or if you want to wait, that's
That works for
up
me.
to you.
That's fine. I was advised, and actually I think maybe verbally, both towns had talked about this starting the first year because it had expired December 31st, and that was to renew your police protection services agreement for 3 more years to cover the years 23, 24, and 25. The town of Cambridge agreed to let it stay the same compensation-wise the first year of $15,000, but then up it by $1,500 for year 2 and year 3, going to $16,500 for those 2 years. They did then formally pass this agreement and signed it last night, and if Dublin wants to do that, it would be appropriate for them to do that tonight. But I thought if you had any questions, otherwise the description of the services is exactly the same, but if you had any questions, I thought we'd do it while Richard was here.
Anybody have any questions for Richard or Bob?
Did we look at that before, that contract? Is it in this package?
We don't have it.
It's not in this package. You just,
Yeah, because if it's identical, all I did was change that amount from what we had before, but everyone wants to, if there's.
I don't believe that we've ever raised this
No.
entire time.
No.
The initial contract, we took the car that you had and worked that into the contract, which was, I think, can't tell you what year we started now, it's been so long
I
ago,
was
but,
still around.
yeah. So, you know, obviously pay has went up, fuel costs has went up, so
I'll say with inflation and fuel costs,
Yeah.
it's kind of a no-brainer.
I think we tried to stay as minimal as possible and still give you the same coverage that we're doing, so.
It describes the services, it describes that either marshal or one of his deputies would attend your council meetings and basically do what you've been doing. Make a report.
Meetings more regular analysis from back staff. I'll be honest with you, working 60 hours a week sometimes, I'm not coming to meetings, you know. I've even missed a few of our meetings down there.
Is there a way to get the guys like we'll say maybe a digital type of town ordinance? I know there was a question when they had the park incident, you know,
That'd be
like,
great.
what was our ordinances, and they didn't really know. I don't know if maybe they could
We
flip
have
it
one-
open
we have one
digitally real
book.
quick, and,
Yeah, we have one book.
you know, without carrying the book around every.
Lenny has the CD, we have a CD, that's the only,
I don't know if maybe it was online or on the website.
it's
where
on our
they
website.
They could go to it real easily.
Okay, I did not know that. I will make everybody aware of that.
Okay.
Maybe they could save it in a browser or something and be able to find it quick.
I know with this recent complaint, we pulled out the noise ordinance one and was, you know, taking a second look at it. But yeah, that'd be great. Everybody has a computer in their car, so they'd have access to it.
Right.
I know when questions come up too, they on occasion contacted me, being town attorney for both towns, and I have a bit, of course, accessibility and wrote some of both the codes, and so they will always feel free to call me with any questions.
You know, that way if they run into a situation too, they'd have it right there with them, whether
Right.
they can use it if they needed to.
I mean, you know, my thought's always been in the past, if we can enforce a state law, that's typically better. It's got more bite to it.
It goes a lot faster.
It does. There's places for town ordinances, you know, I'm not saying that, but this noise ordinance, for example, you know, would be a good town ordinance to enforce, so.
Yeah, that'd be great if they could flip that open and see it real quick.
We'd also, I'd like to also take a look at, and we don't do this currently with our town either, maybe being able to cite our ordinance violations through Hagerstown Court. And we talked to them a long time ago about that, and we just never set it up. that takes some of the stress off of Sherry. It would you too if we were to write ordinance violations. It'd just go through them and they would collect it for us. So that's something I still want to look into. I just haven't done
I
it.
think Sean did, if I remember.
He may have.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may have. We
I
just
think he
just
did.
haven't done it. We didn't switch to Hagerstown till later in the game. So you know, we like that court and the way it goes. And,
I mean, it'd be ideal to do them identical, whatever, you know, both towns do together,
Sure,
so
yeah.
make it easy on everybody.
Let's talk about that more, if you could get more information for us for our workshop session, and then we can.
That's really something that you guys wouldn't have to address, really. It'd be more of us, just where we cite our tickets through. Well, I guess it would be, because you would collect the fines if we, well, either way, it would come to you or through the court, but the court also pays us monthly what our ticket fees are, what we have. So I would assume that the ordinance violations would be the same. If there's ordinance violations, you get one check once a month, and it's a lot easier to track and, you know, take care of. So I'm definitely going to still look into that, though.
Yeah, we had that when Sean was.
I did want to ask, this was, since it's paid on a quarterly basis and we've missed the first 2 quarters, have we missed the first 2 quarters?
No, I think we paid them, hadn't
First quarter,
Yeah.
we? Yeah, they paid, that's why I say verbally, this has almost been put into effect. And so this is because I think both towns had talked about it, and because that's what it had just kind of carried over. And since the payment was not changing for this year, it was my understanding 2 payments have already been made.
Yeah.
At
But there's no increase this year, so there's no change.
oh, I thought they said April 30th, 2023.
But it's for the same amount that we
You
have
know,
on the
this
other
this
contract.
contract backdates to effective January 1st, 2023. Because that's when the old one expired. So it's being made retroactive, especially since 2 payments already been made.
The question is, do we need to pay that extra, the next 2?
No,
No.
the fee is the same for
The fee is the same
2023.
for
The entire,
2023, so
yeah,
our
it won't
fee
go up
did
until
not go up
2024.
For
So
this year
So the fee increase is January 1.
correct.
of 24.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Clear as mud.
So we need a motion to put this in the motion?
Any more questions? Anybody else want to see that?
Well, if it starts January 1, it makes sense, so yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the new police contract with King City with an increase to $16,000 for 2024.
All right, second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
16 or 16.5?
16.5.
16.5.
16.5, yeah, 15 what?
For the legal record, 16.5.
Anybody else have anything for Richard while he's still here?
Keep up the good work, and like I said, we got our drag strips open now, so that's good.
You have any issues?
Bob,
Yeah, if you guys get.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I think it's made for everybody's signature, or is it just president and secretary? Nope, it's just, yeah, president and secretary. Yeah, clerk treasurer. I'll get that to Julie so she can make copies.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Richard. Fire report?
June 2023, ALS 0, BLS 226 runs, 911 breed 6, fire runs, 1 in town with power surge at DG, tanker runs with strong 2, 2,650 gallons of water used.
Anything from building, Julie, that you know of?
No.
And superintendent wise, he's not here, but you have anything?
I think we just talked about the doors was the big thing that we needed to talk about. I think that was pretty much all he had, plus his reports. He didn't have anything else.
Do you know where he's at with his weed violation training, or weed spray training?
No.
'Cause
I know he
Auburn's
went up.
looking pretty rough.
I know he went up and took that class at Purdue. I think he has to do some testing online, kind of like the water certification. And then he'll have to go over and take his test. And then once he gets it, then Nick can work under him. And Nick can go take the test, same as the water. He
So
has
with
to work under
his
somebody else.
situation, is he technically not allowed to work?
Right
He's
now,
released today.
he's released today on light duty.
Okay, so he could be doing all this on light duty.
He could be doing this on light duty.
Perfect. See where I'm going with this?
I see where you're going with this. I had a question from somebody, and so that's when I handed him the CD for the ordinances, and I said, here, you can do this.
Yeah.
It's light duty. So, yeah, I see where you're going.
Maybe a water test in there too.
That's scheduled, or he was waiting on Ivy Tech to set up their scheduling, I think. As
He
it's,
told me he thought next month.
yeah, it was, he said something about it being in August, but he has to wait on them to, because it's a proctor thing, so he has to wait on them to do, schedule those kind of tests before he can go do that. He has got the okay from the state, so he's waiting on Ivy Tech, is my understanding.
So he's about done with all his water classes and
Well,
For this year, he'll
trying
have
to
to,
become certified.
there's 2 different water certification tests. So he has to take this one, and then Rex,
Yeah, he'll take another class to,
Another class before he gets full certification.
yeah.
yeah, you gotta have 2 classes to pass.
Got past the first before you start on the second one.
Yeah.
And
Well,
one
it
of them,
makes it easier.
you actually, part of the requirement is he has to have 2 years instead of 1
Right.
year. So now that we're coming up, or he gets this one, he should be eligible to be able to take.
2 years since day one, or 2 years since he starts the class?
2 years when he started working.
Mhm.
So it should be up, well, really, he's been here 2
He's-
years.
Yeah, July
So we can
19th,
feasibly get out from under paying this guy from Cambridge before too long.
another year.
Yeah.
Another whole
If
year.
he gets his certifications, once he gets his
It's gonna take us a full year to
certifications.
get out of it.
Mhm.
He's already dropped his rate tremendously though from what it was at since when he started doing the testing. And he just had to do the verification, that it was being done properly. So it did drop our rate from $1,800 a month down to 500, so.
That's a blessing.
You might leave a note for them guys, because I may forget to tell them, but find out what this big pile of dirt is up here, where I think they might have been scraping the sidewalks, right where the sidewalk starts, like in
Yeah.
front of Shane's
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. They hit
Like they
an
forgot about
area,
it or
and I
something.
think, yeah.
Anything else on the superintendent side of things? Clerk's report?
You should have your normal, time cards and fuel reports. A lot of time cards this month. The copier information isn't for, it's for the work session, but I just wanted everybody to have that. I had a gentleman drop off, it's called COAD in Wayne County, and it stands for Community Organizations Active in Disaster. And they actually have a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the Johnson Hall on the Ivy Tech Community College campus. It is a forum where faith-based nonprofit organizations, businesses, and government share knowledge and resources throughout the disaster cycle. So everybody has an idea of what everybody's responsibility is and steps that we need to do to help people should a disaster strike. So, and there's a brochure with it as well.
Give you a lot of notice, huh?
Well, some of that's on me. I had it hanging up on
He just
I
showed
had
up
it hanging
yesterday.
up there and I didn't, take it down.
It's not a bad thing, but quite honestly, it probably needs to kind of funnel through the county EMA because they designed the master plan for the county, and that's where it's all, FEMA and the money, all that's where it's going to originate from. I would sure see if EMA was even on board to begin with, before I, did any commitments per se.
And that's Wayne County EMA, right?
Yeah, Jonathan Duke.
Okay.
I've never even heard of these people at all, actually.
No, I have not either. And just something, mentioning something that this, you've not heard of this, I had a lady request, it's not even anything to do with this, to use the shelter house down at the park. And I told her it's first come, first served. So in the mornings next week, it's child protection evangelists, and they're just having kind of like a Bible study and thing, and they wanted to do it down at the park. They're wanting to open it up to get back into this area and offer services for children and child protection and things like that. So that is going to be down at the park the 17th through the 21st. And I told her, we don't rent it, so there's no permits or anything, but nobody knows them, that organization that is trying to,
It might be
people.
nice on our behalf, though, not to be down there mowing with all the kids right there, though, during that time
Yeah.
they're there.
And we need to keep an eye on the parking, because then some people like to park in the grass, we want to make sure they stay out of the grass.
Okay. That's all I have for that.
What about the copier, Julie?
She said we would do that during the work
That's-
session. She already said we would do that during the work session.
I just provided more information that you guys had from the work session, so you can have it to look over before our work session.
I've seen it in here.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it on that. And then the interconnection agreement is old business for the new owners on North Dublin Street that has the solar panels. I gave that out to everybody. I had Bob look that over, and everything was fine. They signed it and sent it back, so we just need to officially approve it tonight.
You got a number on that, or is there a,
There is not a,
something identified?
it's not an ordinance, it's just a,
Just an agreement.
yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve the Richard Law agreement.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carried.
It was Richard Law. Somebody else got solar panels?
No, he,
So,
he,
I thought his name was,
Oh, and there's also potentially with two people, Jill Plank is the secondary.
yeah, that's.
I thought his name was Wendell something.
Wendell sold the house to
Oh, that
Richard
that
Law.
changed hands?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize it was
Yes.
sold, okay. I'm behind.
Anything else in old business?
That's all I have unless somebody else has something.
I do got while these guys are here, if you can help jog our memory, because I know there was conversation about a softball tournament for like a fundraiser, but I think if memory serves me, didn't the softball league actually quote unquote keep the dates for a certain amount of the year that they are in control of the softball diamonds? You remember what those dates are?
Till September or October, something or other.
I might check on that, because I know the community club was talking about, had a conversation about doing a fundraiser, and I didn't want to have them schedule that if the Western Wayne girls actually had the diamond possession during that time.
They would have to have their own bags too.
This is my opinion. If they have their bags and they are in control of the scoreboards and all that, they should be in charge of who they allow.
Right, but I'm
To
saying,
have
you know, if
stuff
they
down
did
there.
this after that certain date, like if they did it on their own
But
time.
that, to me, they should still have to go through them. It's their choice when, how late or how not they're doing it, but unless we are going to get in the business of scheduling and providing, you know, requiring insurance and doing all this stuff throughout the year, period, as the property owner, we have a lease with the girls softball league, so everything should go through them and their board should approve and require and schedule. That's my opinion.
So maybe we should amend the contract with them?
I mean, the contract, I thought was for a whole year.
No, I think it's just for certain months from this point.
Yeah,
to
that's
this
what I kind of thought too, it was just certain months.
Okay.
But if it's not, then maybe we should go ahead and do that and
Yeah.
put the responsibility
Right.
or the whatever on them.
Okay, I will look into that here.
Well, it kind of keeps us hands off.
How soon was this person wanting to do that?
No, the community club was talking about doing it for a fundraiser.
Oh, the community
So,
club was.
yeah.
Okay.
We've got interest from people that are into that kind of thing of doing one, but we don't want to butt heads with,
Yeah, well,
you know, like we had the incident, what, a month or so ago
yeah.
where
Well, there's been
you
a couple
know,
of those incidences, so.
we don't want to be the cause of one of those,
The best
so.
thing I would recommend doing is to get a hold of somebody from that board or from,
I've been talking with Kendra Beata. I think she's the president now, so.
yeah. So you might be able to meet with them or their board. Lenny is, I don't know what he is on that, but he's something there associated with it. So you could probably talk to him about it as well. He could get you some good information.
This agreement, this contract is for 6 years. May of 2019 through May of 2025, so there is no,
And when you read through it, it doesn't state from a certain month to a certain month?
I'm not seeing it. Rent, no monthly rent shall be required. Obligations,
Maybe it's, they only had insurance on it, but it's for certain months of the year.
that could be,
But I remember there was months talked about in
I remember that
conversations.
as well.
I think they chose not to,
I bet it's insurance.
it might be because of their insurance, but they chose not to, they didn't want to have to, if they're not having a lot of stuff going on, risking the bags getting torn up and those
Sure.
kind of stuff, so they take them up in the fall and they put them back out in the spring. But it's just showing that they have to show proof of liability insurance and pay the utility bills. Talks about
And
the
responsible for
concession
the
stand.
dugouts and,
Mhm.
yeah.
And we're still waiting on the school to maintain theirs.
I did remind the superintendent the other day when I
Did
seen
you?
him, so.
Okay.
He referred it back to Matt Webb, the maintenance guy, so.
Okay. I'm not seeing anything in here that talks about certain months. I think that was just something that they chose to do on their part.
I bet it's
Anyway, that would be
insurance.
the answer then, is to get a hold of somebody from that committee or board.
And you did give her an insurance copy for you guys, right?
Brad sent it to us, we've got it. covered.
He's just, when we renew it, he's just gonna automatically send one from now on, so.
I had come across a note I made on the poop bags for the horses. Does that ever go anywhere? Or does that just kind of die away, or
I
are
do
we still talking,
have
or?
some information on family members, elders, and that. So when you guys decide to move forward with discussion, then we had talked about inviting them to come be a part of the conversation so that maybe we can come up with a good solution together.
Okay, that happened
No, it has not happened yet.
And I reached out to some local other towns and surrounding counties, I cannot find anybody that has an ordinance that talks about the poop bag, so, I may have to broaden my look to see if that's what you want, see, but I can't find anybody.
Sounds like a touchy situation.
It is.
They are.
I think if we just approach it as a common courtesy, you know, is the best thing. Kids don't drive their bikes through it and that kind of stuff.
In other states, when they weren't approached and asked to be part of, lawsuits and things were done. But, I mean, you can flip that, like out of Indianapolis for the carriage rides and things for events and stuff, they are required to have bags and stuff, so, you know, you can look at it that way, but we need to, invite them into the conversation if we're wanting them to be a part of the community.
Anything else for old business? All right, we'll move on to new business. Increased fee to Western Wayne Regional Sewer District for billing 15%.
You want me to give the history on that?
Can you show it? Yeah, go ahead.
It dates back to 1990 when the first interlocal agreement was entered into between both Cambridge and Dublin with the Western Wayne Regional Sewage District. You guys do the billing for their customers, and in 1990 it was agreed that you would bill $1.07 per customer per month. So both Cambridge and Dublin did that, and Western Wayne signed off on that. It went 2 years, you upped it to $1.12 per customer. It then went 18 years until 2010, when an amendment was passed by both parties, $2.29. I took part in that, and that actually, they did not want to do it, and I think Cambridge, I'm not sure Dublin did, actually wrote them, and your contract says that it can be terminated with 90 days notice, and Cambridge actually went that far and said, we will be terminating all services if you don't agree to this, and at the last minute they agreed to the $2.29, and then Dublin carried on with that $2.29 as well. Well, now we're 13 years later, Cambridge has decided and voted at their last month's meeting to instruct me to write them and request a $2.63, that is the 15% raise, $2.63 per customer for the billing services, effective January the 1st of 2024. We are stopping short of saying we will terminate, but we still have that period of time. So no resolution was passed because you can't unilaterally do it. You can just request that that be amendment to the contract. And so I've not written them pending what you guys do, because then I can write them for both towns if you guys are instructing me to do the same thing that you want your contract amended to that 15% too.
And my understanding from Michael was he would prefer both to be the same.
Oh, sure.
And I think he's the one that actually
And you think they
brought it forward.
No.
No, he seemed fine with it. He just asked that whatever was done with one town, he would prefer it to be the same with both.
But Michael who?
I'm sorry?
You said Michael?
He's the superintendent for the sewer.
Stucky.
Michael Stucky.
Oh,
He does our water testing.
okay.
He does water and sewer together, so.
Wow.
Who gets this $2.60? Does it go to the town?
And yeah, it goes to the town.
That's for taking care of the paperwork.
Right,
Yeah.
to the building.
And that's billed to the people, or does that bill back to Western Wayne sewage?
It goes, we bill the sewer. Now, the last time, because there was some heated discussion on that, they turned around and raised their rate on that to their customers.
Because of that?
Because of that, but they were making a point.
The bill payer always pays no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, but like you said, it's been 13 years since it's been done. Costs have gone up. I don't know that they will, postage especially, but.
How many do you bill? I know Cambridge is billing 905 people a month, so it ends up being, theirs will go from $24,869 a year to $28,566. How many customers applicable do you have?
I have 200 and 329, I think.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
You've got
329,
480
300, it goes up and down. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Well, surely they won't increase the sewer rates again. because we
I
just had a
can't
big-
see them doing it just for that because that costs too much money to do just a rate increase for one thing. But it will, it will ultimately, just like ours, it will be included in the costs and things that's evaluated when they do their next rate study.
Have they raised the rate for new building yet?
No, well, I mean, they had already done a rate study and set up on I believe, a 3 or 4 year increase. So we're still on that. I think this might have been the last year for that. But once this is done, they might be, they might need to go up again.
This is gonna get you just about $1,300 more. Right now, at the 329 customers would be a yearly fee of $9,040. This makes it $10,083.
You need a motion on that? Okay, I move that we increase the fee to Western Wayne Sewer District billing 15%.
Second.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Bob, I see where the Schroeder House property is coming up.
Up for sale, I was gonna just,
13th.
gonna bring that up, and we have requested, it looks like our sale will be in August, which may not be a bad idea, that it's not the same time as the house. I will attend this house sale. I can't imagine you guys are gonna want to bid anything on it, because Wayne Bank is owed the sum of, well, the original judgment is $26,036, with added interest comes up to $27,332. So the first $27,332 will go to Wayne Bank. You'd have to actually spend good money to get that high. And why do you want to put more money into any property? Now, if somebody comes in and pays more than that $27,332, we're next in line. I'm not gonna hold my breath.
Bob, what happens if like nobody bids on the property?
Well, the bank will at least bid on it, even if they bid $1. I mean, they can bid up to $27,000 and not have to expend any cash because they know it's coming back to themselves. So that's normally what will happen, is the bank will buy it for some amount and then try to sell it on their own, listing it.
Does the estate expenses come off the top before the 27,000?
No, not for this. Not for the house.
Should it go back to them and they bid on it and it goes back to the bank for them to sell or do whatever, at that point, we stop mowing and all that because it becomes the bank.
Absolutely. At that point, it clearly is.
Okay.
You have anything else, Bob?
Seen something about State Street. They're
Waiting for a court.
just waiting. Okay, that's just,
I'm saying on the house on State Street.
I don't know if it's gonna last long enough to get the quarter done. It's starting to collapse.
It may become unsafe and we spend the money to tear it down.
The house on State Street, front porch did fall down.
Oh, it
It
did fall down?
fell off of it, yeah.
Well, we could now move it, transition it from the litter type of ordinance violation to an unsafe building, which makes it a much stronger case for us. And at that point, some self-help's allowed if they don't do what is required. See, that's the little difference between the two. You can't have the self-help on the litter ordinance violation. You can have it on the unsafe building if they don't act timely. So if we can, I did not know the porch had fallen
Yeah.
in, so if we can have that declaration, we have to send them a letter. By Lenny would be the one that would send that, or I suppose President Council or Clerk Treasurer, but normally it's your town superintendent that would make that declaration of unsafe building, give them a chance, have a hearing set. If they don't do it, then you can go in and you need to determine exactly what's causing it to be an unsafe building, and then you have to determine exactly what is the proper remedy that you want to make them do, and if they don't do it, then you can do it for them. And so if you think it is severe enough, that remedy can be a complete tear down. I don't know enough here. It might be a complete removal of the front porch, or we can stretch it and say it's a complete, do you think it's so bad that it would require them complete removal of the house?
Why it looks right now, the porch is dropped down, the roof did. I mean, but still, if that fell down, we don't know how bad the other part was.
Did it affect the foundation or anything?
See, I don't know, you can't go over and check it out, so you don't know.
If it would have damaged the foundation, then you would.
Yeah,
probably-
We might be able to justify that.
We just have to look into it a little further, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I just noticed, went by the other day.
Let's check that, because that would help me.
Okay.
Okay.
How legally close can we get on the property without getting in trouble? I mean, we have to take a picture from the road or without quote unquote trespassing?
It's a great
Building
area.
commissioner,
You clearly, you can go to the road and take all the pictures that you want. And I think we even are allowed, you could go around the yard to inspect the property as long as you're not infringing on it. Like if a person's out there in the back, you can't get into a fight with them. But if there's going to be no breach of the peace, is the magic wording, then you can, without breach of the peace, go on the land and take pictures. That would be satisfactory.
Can you go inside the building
I would
with
not.
the door, with the door standing open? I mean, is that,
No.
it's not breaking it in anymore.
Where'd Richard go? He could-
The one thing about the door standing open for the past year, you know, there's critters, weather, things which you know is going to help our argument that it is becoming more unsafe. So,
Yeah, you could certainly take
You got somebody that's good, got flying a drone and just
Flying here.
stand the street.
Talk about another gray area of the law.
I'll let Lenny know.
Yeah.
All right, anything else for new business? We move on to claims.
I'll make a motion, we pay our bills.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Financials?
I'll make a motion, we accept the financial as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for financials. All in favor?
We will be discussing our budget stuff a little more at the work session. I meet with the Department of Local Government Finance on August 8th, so we kind of need to know if you have any changes to my recommendations or not. So that'll be in discussion.
And the work session will be at this town hall, is that right?
It'll be at the town hall on the, what is that, the 25th?
How many?
It will be, if I can get to think, on July 25th, 7 o'clock. At the, July 25th,
Fifth.
yeah, Tuesday the 25th at 7 o'clock. And that one, it was discussed that work sessions will be held at the town hall. Regular meetings will continue to be here for now. Chance of more people. We'll see how it goes.
Are we adjourned? Need a motion? We got one.
I'll second.
Okay.